Welcome to Mind Your Wedding Business Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Dennis. In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 35 years ago. Each week on this podcast, you'll hear thought-provoking and empowering interviews with wedding professionals who have found success in the industry. If you're a business-minded wedding pro who loves love, but also cares about their bottom line, buckle up and get ready to learn from a new industry expert each week. All right, folks, welcome to the next episode of Mind Your Wedding Business. We have Ashley, Allan, and Meagan. Pinney, did I say it right, Meagan?
Yes, you did.
All
Good
right.
job.
Perfect. All right, so tell me about, first off, like, how did you guys get into the wedding industry? And then secondly, how did you two become one?
Yeah.
Well,
Who wants to go?
so it's kind of, both of those things are kind of combined.
Mhm.
So Megan and I have known each other since college. We both went to Northern Arizona University up in Flagstaff. And if you haven't been there, it's a beautiful town. Highly recommend. And we were in the same sorority in college, stayed friends. And after graduation, I went on to work in public relations and eventually nonprofit events.
And I went into corporate and corporate event planning in like the fashion realm.
Oh.
Yeah. And then over happy hour one day, we were sitting there complaining about our jobs, like you do at happy hour. And we just thought like we could be doing this for ourselves. And we knew that we loved the event space and we felt like we were being drawn to weddings. But at the beginning, we were doing really any kind of events. We were big on the bar mitzvah scene for a hot second.
God.
Oh, wow.
But after a couple of years, we definitely decided that weddings were where we wanted to be. And so we focused all of our time and intention there.
Perfect. Now, just out of curiosity, because I don't know why I'm curious. So you guys are more based in, is it Scottsdale or Phoenix or?
Yeah. So our office is in Scottsdale, Arizona,
Okay.
and that's where the bulk of our business is, but we do travel all across.
All over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, if I'm getting married in Scottsdale, am I local or am I from out of the area?
Great question. I would say about 70% of our clients actually don't live in Arizona.
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
Only about 30% of them do, but Scottsdale has one of the Arizona in general has one of the longest wedding seasons. So we really do weddings from pretty much the end of September, which is still a little hot in my opinion, until the end of May.
Well, I'll one up you there because in California we go year round and we don't stop. So you,
Oh, God, that's wild. Yeah, it gets too hot. This time of year, you do not want to get married in Arizona.
No.
Yeah. So then what, just out of curious, so what is your business like this time of year?
We call it like a rest time, but it's not really. We were actually just talking about this morning. June, July, and August, we typically don't take any weddings just because it's pretty miserable and we don't want to be working. So we use that time to like focus on our business and get caught up on all the things that we haven't been doing for 9 months.
Yeah.
So we're busy in the sense we're doing all the planning for the fall and the following spring. We're doing all of the admin stuff behind the scenes.
Any brand revamp stuff, team building activities.
For sure. But we're not doing events.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing because like we were just talking about that here in my office. It's like someone was talking about workations, like you go away and do a little vacation, but but you're working on redoing the website, whatever it may be. And it's because we don't have time to do that. I'm like, I think we need to implement that. And we were talking about doing it at Disneyland of all places, because we're kind of Disney freaks around here.
Yeah.
So.
We did our team retreat last year at Disneyland. So
It was very magical.
Well, and that's kind of middle for us, I feel like.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway. All right. So we're here to talk about a community-driven team. So what is a community-driven team?
Well, for us, that means a lot of things. One, it's, of course, the actual team that we are building here at Your Jubilee. But it's also the team of creatives that we work with on all of our weddings. So we, just as a company and as individuals, are very community-driven in general. And so we really look at, a people first mentality and a community first mentality in really everything that we do.
And we're both local to Arizona, like we're both natives. And so like we really love when we can pull in like local vendors to our weddings, and we love and trust and not only have like a good relationship with us, but create a good relationship with the couple. And we know the product's going to be amazing. And then it's just like supporting that like local and spreading around that local love too.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Like how often do you have to go outside of your area, just out of curiosity?
Honestly,
That's a good question.
Phoenix, Scottsdale is like a big, small town.
Mm-hmm.
So the wedding community is pretty small. I think there's a lot of things in the Phoenix market that we can't exactly get that you might be able to get in, San Francisco area or LA, Chicago, even Las Vegas. And so sometimes when we're doing some of those larger scale events, we do have to pull in product or people from Vegas or LA to get the scale that we're looking for.
All right. Makes sense. I was going to ask where do you go from, or where do you pull from? And the LA and Vegas do make the most sense. So, all right, cool. How does company culture play a role in the success of your business and employees?
Oh, I think it's number one.
Paramount.
Yeah. Like we work when we started the company, it was Ashley and I hustling, just like a lot of entrepreneurs, but like hustling so hard, working multiple weddings a weekend, back to back multiple wedding weekends in a row. And we just got to a point where we were like, we can't do this anymore, just us two. And so we slowly started bringing on interns and creating an internship that was really focused around like not just Your Jubilee weddings, but the wedding industry in Arizona. So we could show them different aspects of the industry so they could see if they really love planning, or maybe they really love catering or rentals or florals or whatever it is. And that has helped us get the people that do really love planning and love working with us and love servicing our clients. And like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think honestly, our internship program has been a huge piece of our success. And it's something that kind of was birthed out of us having terrible internship experiences.
True.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I always tell people I was an intern right after college for a fashion PR company in London, which sounds like super cool.
Yeah, it sounds
like
awesome.
Very like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. No, it was terrible.
Okay.
It was like one of the worst experiences, not being in London. I loved the living there part, but the actual working part was one of the worst experiences I've had in my life, because I didn't learn anything, and they didn't respect that I could learn things. It was very like they just needed a body to do a job, and that job was scanning in clothing and scanning out clothing. And I wasn't paid to do what essentially like a factory worker would be doing. And then I made tea in the afternoons. And it was never very good. So, but from that experience, I knew that it's really hard to get into the wedding industry, especially into wedding planning, without experience. And you can't really get experience without already having experience. So how do you do it? Outside of like just starting on your own, which, when we first got into it, we were like, okay, well, maybe we can like shadow some people or do some things. But like, in general, people kind of keep things close to the vest and don't necessarily want to share their secrets when they know that you're trying to start your own company.
Yeah.
And so we kind of wanted to just break away from that. And, nothing that we're doing is rocket science.
Yeah. We're very much open books.
Yeah. We're not curing cancer over here. We're planning weddings. And so we wanted to break away from that and create something that would be a launch pad for people into the wedding industry. And so our internship program has really been that for us, and it's helped us build an incredible team of people that are molded exactly how we want them.
In the YJ way is what we call it.
Yeah, in the YJ way. But also it's given a funnel of people that maybe aren't the right fit for us or don't love wedding planning into the wedding industry in general. So we have past interns that are working for venues now, that are working for dress shops, that are doing social media and advertising and marketing for the wedding industry, all kinds of different avenues, but they figured out what they loved because they got to see so many different things through our internship. And
then how quickly, like once you have an intern working for you guys, like how quickly can you identify they're not going to be a fit for the what is it? The YJ way?
The YJ way. Yeah.
Such a good question. Almost right away.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
After the very first wedding they work with us, you can see if they have like the it factor, because like Ashley said, what we're doing is not rocket science, but there's a lot of common sense. There's a lot of hustle. There's a lot of drive, being able to speak clearly and, sometimes not aggressively. What word am I looking for?
command the room.
Demand the room.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And like get people to listen to you and do what you're asking them to do is a lot. And especially for some of these interns are still in college, and we kind of throw them into it. And we tell them that during the interview process, like we do a lot of training, but on wedding days, it's like, go, go, go. And we throw you into it and we want to see how you react to the situations.
Mhm.
And then we kind of give feedback in the moment or feedback right after the wedding. So I think almost right away.
Yeah.
If they have it.
Yeah. We always say, like, if we don't want to be stuck in an airport with somebody,
Yeah.
they're probably not the right fit. Because I can teach you how to do a timeline. I can teach you the basics of design, but I can't teach you how to be a personable person.
How to hold a conversation.
And how to hold a conversation and how to command a room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because you got to think about it. With you guys are with these, the families, with the bride, the couple, the bride and groom, or whoever, and it's a stressful moment. Those moments before the wedding, and someone didn't show up when they wanted to be, and so you got to be a therapist and everything to these people. As far as on that day of. So it's a really difficult thing. I always admire. I have in my area, I have wedding planners I love, and then wedding planners that I always like the hair on the back of my neck goes up when I'm like, oh, we're working with that one because they make our lives harder. So I always respect the ones that make our lives, your job is to make our lives easier, everyone, the couple, the vendor team and everyone, but not cause the drama. And so that's
and I think that goes back to like our community driven focus is for us, we see the wedding day as a team. Like we might be the project manager, but we need every single person on the team to be performing at their top level for us to create the end product that we're trying to create, which is ultimately like a happy couple, right? And so we want people to do what they do and do it well. So we try we want to get all the information in advance so that we can let you like do your thing. And we're just there if you need support.
Yeah. Well, and because, excuse my phrase, shit does happen, and on the day of, and it just, that's a good wedding professional is going to be able to, diffuse the situation quickly and handle it and move forward. And the ones that don't there's the ones that put the hair on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
So, anyway. All right. So moving on. Why is it important to have company culture when you have a small team, instead of just having one person? So why is that culture so important?
Well, I think culture starts from one person, right? As soon as you bring one person onto the team, you are already creating the culture of your business. And I think, again, I don't know, I'm talking a lot, but I think that I've had a lot of not great work experiences before starting my own business. And it taught me so much because it taught me who I didn't want to be. And for us, our company culture is really about like, we're trying to create a family. Because wedding planning is hard.
Wedding days are hard.
Wedding days are hard. Working with couples that you love and couples that maybe you don't love for sometimes 18 months is taxing. And you need people that you can vent to. You need people that will support you. You need people that understand you well enough so that like when you're on a wedding day and maybe, the stuff in your personal life is hitting the fan and you just need to be able to say like, things aren't great for me today. And that person can step in and be the support that you need to be able to get through all the hard that is a wedding day. So yeah, I think for us, it started with the very first hire that we brought on. Like we sat down and had a conversation of, what do we want this to look like? And how do we want the employee to feel as a part of our team? And we continue to have that conversation, I think, like constantly.
The company culture as well. Like if you have a good company culture and a good company environment, they stay on the company, on the team, right? The teams that we see that have this constant like turnover in the industry, like you kind of question, like, what's going on? What's happening there? Like, are their clients being taken care of? If their team's not actually being taken care of, I think it kind of raises some questions, and not the clients may not necessarily see that, but the wedding industry does. And again, it's wanting our community to like want to work with us, respect us, and when a bride's like, oh, I'm talking to Your Jubilee, they're like, oh my God, Your Jubilee is the best. Hire them,
Yeah.
And that all stems from.
And then it puts the client at ease, and it puts the,
exactly.
The venue or whoever that they're talking to at ease, like if it's a photographer or whoever, it's just like,
totally.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have a bad joke, but I think there's a lot of truth in my bad joke is, I always consider a wedding like a war, and you want to go to battle with all the people that you trust and that that we can get through. So I don't know.
Love the battlefield, right?
Yeah, that's right. There you go. You've even made it even better, because I've never been able to bring it like war and wedding. How's that?
We got
how does that go? So, like, thinking of culture, like what are things that businesses can do to create a culture, identify the culture, implement a culture, any of that stuff? Because that's all seems hard to do.
Yeah, totally.
I actually think it's easier than most people think. I think the biggest part is to be intentional about what you're trying to create. If you don't have purpose behind the things that you're doing, especially internally, I think it's really hard to maintain a direction. So one of the things that we kind of review every couple of years is like, what are our core values, and have any of those core values changed? I mentioned for us, one of those things is people first, and that stems to our team. So like, how can we make sure that our team is supported? How can we make sure that they're always learning and they're expanding and growing? And how can we make sure that they always feel supported and taken care of? And then also our clients, like, what can we be doing to make their experience better? Without, putting more on our team, but creating a better overall experience. And then, of course, our vendor teams, like, how can we be making their experience better? I think it's a common question, but maybe it's not. But like, what could we be doing to make your experience working with us better? That's something that we ask a lot of our venues and a lot of the vendors that we work with consistently. And we really take those things to heart and implement them.
Yeah. And do you ask for the good, bad, and ugly? I mean, yeah.
And we're also not afraid to share the good, bad, and ugly.
For sure.
And I think that's important, because I have a few venues that, I work at, and they're always like, can you give me your honest feedback on it could be food, it could be a new hire, and I feel like I am trusted in the fact that if I give it, it goes a long way, like I become a trusted advisor because I'm working behind the scenes. They're not there on the battle day, the wedding day, the upper management, they're always gone. So that when I'm giving them that feedback, it's really important, because there's a venue that I work at a lot that is not as much fun to work at anymore because of COVID and because of turnover. They just don't have that team in place, and they haven't been able to implement the culture that used to be there before. And
I think, like, along those lines, sometimes it's like time. They don't have the time to implement the culture again because of COVID and because of the turnover in people. And like, there's so much catching up to some companies and people are still doing from COVID. I feel like for us and our company, we're finally like leveling out after COVID. So we can put more time back into our team and the culture of our team. And every summer, since it's our, off season, non-event season, we do have our team retreat every summer. That's a lot of fun, but a lot of training and retraining and like circling back to our company cultures with our team and like hearing them out too, and like what we can be doing better, what they want to be doing, all those kind of things.
I think it's really easy to put company culture on the back burner, but then when you do that, you end up having to work really hard to get it back. And so I don't know, I think genuinely it's something that I'm thinking about weekly, like, how can I be supporting our team? And I wanted to go back to feedback a little bit, because I think a common misconception about creating a positive company culture is that you can't provide feedback. And I think we've found that giving people honest feedback and also like steps for improvement actually cultivate a much stronger culture, because not only if they take your words and act on them, they become better at what they're doing, but they also trust you. And, you know, giving them negative feedback, but then also saying like, hey, I know that we talked about this and I can see that you're working on it. I think goes a long way. I also love that our team tends to, when they get feedback, they reach out to somebody else on the team that they know is doing well at that thing.
Yeah.
And they get individual coaching. Like, it just warms my heart all the time to hear that, like, you know, one of our team members has gone out to lunch with the other one to talk about X, Y, and Z just because they feel supported by that person. And I think like those are the things that I'm proudest of with our company. Like, we've grown, we've done all these things. But the culture that we've built is probably what I'm the most proud of.
Yeah, the team relationships for sure. Yeah. And I came from a company that was very much like goal oriented and feedback in the moment. Like my last job before I left it to fully dive into Your Jubilee. And it was so much part of the culture of that company. And it was a very good experience for me. And I brought a lot from that to Your Jubilee, that if you didn't share your feedback in the moment and you came back a day or two later, it was like, well, too bad. Like you have to share your feedback within that moment to really get the growth for yourself and that person. And so we try to give feedback as much as possible, as soon as possible, so that we all can grow. And it's hard too, especially for a people on our team. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It becomes something wasn't originally even all about.
Yeah. Yeah. And the next thing you know, you're upset or someone's upset with you. And I'm like, why didn't you ever tell us that?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, my delivery driver parked in a spot that he wasn't supposed to park in. And, you know, like, I can't correct the behavior unless I know what's going on in the moment, totally. You know?
Yeah. And we do the same thing on wedding days. Like, I've had a vendor that snapped at me for no reason. And I've said, okay, let's take a breath for a minute. Can we just talk? Like, what's going on? Like, are you okay?
Yeah. Because it wasn't necessarily something we did. It was just, obviously this is a very intense industry, lots of emotions and things build up week after week. And then finally, sometimes there's a snapping point and, you know, we may get it because we're the planner, but like, let's just take a breath, talk it out, and how can we fix it?
The thing is, I think there's always time. It's like prioritizing self-care. You have to prioritize like care for your business and care for the people that you're collaborating with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true because and the self is so important. You got to take care of yourself, and then the business comes a long way. So
totally,
I don't know why, but I kept thinking of the scene in Wedding Singer where he starts freaking out after the girlfriend breaks up with him and he does the wedding. I don't know why when you guys are saying that, all that scene in the movie just came in there because I always joke if anything bad happens to me, I'll be the wedding singer yelling at everyone. So anyway. So, all right. So we've talked about culture, implementing it. And then, so now we talked about, you got to do it right away. But what if someone doesn't fix the behavior, or like, how do we get them to step back in line? Oh, they're out of here. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Not even one strike. It's
Well, I think the first thing is, I don't know, for me as a leader of a business or a leader in even the wedding community, I'm always looking at like, okay, what could I have done differently to create a different outcome? So, you know, if I've given somebody feedback or I've said something and they either didn't take it well or they aren't implementing or whatever the case may be, like, okay, so either I didn't communicate the way that they need to be communicated to.
Yeah.
Or there's some kind of an external factor that I'm not aware of because I know that the feedback that I'm giving is from a positive place. It's from a place of wanting them to succeed. It's from a place of wanting them to grow. So that means for me, usually to go back to that person and say like, hey, I know we talked about this, but it's not happening. So what can we do to fix that?
I think the biggest thing and the hardest thing within that is communication, like with our team and with vendors. Like, communication is so tough. No one reads anything. No one, you know, everyone half listens because we're all so busy. So I think it's like really trying to connect with the different communication styles of people on our team. And even like now the different generational gaps that we have, you know,
100%.
So I think like communication, everyone says communication is key, but it really is, as cheesy as that sounds.
Yeah. And then I think it's also creating buy-in. If you tell somebody, hey, if you do this, then you get this, but they don't care about the end result, they're not engaged to do whatever that thing is. But if they create, hey, this is what I want as the end result. Okay, great. This is what you need to do to get there. I think then they're more empowered to take the steps to do whatever it is. And so I don't know, like that's one of the things that we are always looking at with our team is like, hey, what would incentivize you guys to take more weddings or to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. And we get the feedback from them. And then we look at, okay, well, what's realistic for us? Great. Let's do that. Because without their buy-in, you know, we can throw whatever we want at them. But if they don't care, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, does this all happen like at you mentioned your company retreat that you guys do in the summer? Like, is that
a long time, big chunk of it? Yeah.
Yeah. We do periodic check-ins with our team. So we do a survey usually twice a year that has to do with our most valuable jubilette. We call our team members jubilettes.
That's cute.
So everybody can vote on who they think has been the most valuable on their team, on the team for the year.
What do we call it?
MVJ.
MVJ. Yeah.
And then that person gets like some kind of a big prize. Last year they got their trip to Disney taken care of.
Oh, nice.
Some amazing spa day at one of our local luxury resorts. Yeah.
So we try to like, and also the entire team has voted for that person. Yeah. So we do things like that. We check in, you know, when we notice that like things are slowing down, we're like, okay, team, what are your thoughts? We try to really have a collaborative experience overall for the team because we do want them to be bought into not just their clients and that, but we want them to be bought into Your Jubilee, and we want them to feel like the company's wins are also their wins.
To get buy-in. All right. So your company retreat that you go on, how long? Where do you decide? Who gets to decide where we get to go? What's discussed?
So we usually make the decisions on like how long and where we go.
Okay.
And there's always a theme as well, so we get to choose as well.
Yep.
Okay, that's fun.
Like our sorority days, kind of reliving a little bit.
Yeah,
there you go.
But it's fun.
So we've been to Pisa or Pine Top?
Pine Top.
Pine Top, Arizona. We've done Scottsdale. We did Disneyland. We've done. There was COVID years that we just did at my house, but it was still really so it just depends on the year and season.
Yeah, we've talked about doing a cruise. Yeah. We've talked about going to Mexico. We've talked about, you know, potentially.
And we do have to ask our team, like, what's realistic for them and their life and their lifestyles and like how much time they can take off for it or whatever it looks like.
Yeah.
So,
but usually it's about 2.5 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a mix of training on any like new programs or new things. We spend some time usually on self-development as well. So usually something about like mindfulness or managing anxiety or stress management or time management, all of that stuff. And then there's also like a fun component. So for the last, 3 years?
3 years is Smith
3 years, we've been doing a lip sync battle and it gets very competitive. So, you know, the whole team waits for our announcement of the theme, which this year is YJ2K. So we're doing.
Want to live to 2K again?
Yeah, why not? It's like coming back anyway. So,
so we announced that. We announced who the lip sync teams are.
Yeah, it's a full-on competition and things like that too, like help bond and bring our team together. We have some new assistants on our team this year that we're excited that they can all be at the retreat. We're doing it locally again this year because our team is kind of changing and shifting and we've brought some new people on. So every year after the retreat, we just kind of re-energize and feel like a family again, and where these newer people on our team can really like be, I don't know, not initiated.
Yeah, like
integrated, not initiated. That's better.
Well, or they feel comfortable having a seat at the table, you know, like,
totally. And then on wedding days and everything, it's just a more cohesive team. We all feel comfortable with each other. We can get things done and say things quickly to one another without having to be like, I always tell my team at my timeline meeting, this is my please and thank you. On wedding day, we're getting stuff done. If you don't hear me say it, it's all out of love. It's just getting things done.
Yeah.
So, but then we all feel comfortable within that space.
Now, have you ever brought in an outside we did it one year. We brought out an outside professional to come run our retreat. Have you ever done that before?
No.
Not our full retreat.
Yeah,
we have brought in people before to do like training on specific things.
Okay.
So like we've brought in, 2 years ago, we brought in a yoga and meditation specialist.
Okay.
do some coaching on that. We've brought in someone to talk about sales before.
Goal setting.
Yeah. Oh.
So different aspects of our retreat, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But full retreat, no.
Yeah, it was kind of great. Well, I'm sure Sydney Novotny. So we hired Cindy for the year, and part of it was the retreat, but then she created the Ritz-Carlton Credo. She was part of that.
Wow.
And so that's one of the things she does with all the companies is she creates the, like a credo for yourselves. And with
That's
the
cool.
pillar, like you mentioned, all that kind of stuff. And it was amazing because she started working with us, and within like an hour of her being there, she looked at me and she goes, that person does not belong here. And they should not be working for you anymore. And it's sure enough, it's within like after she said it, the person fought her all the way through. And I was like, we got to get rid of that. And I was just like, that person was very good at doing what they needed to do, but wasn't bought into the culture. And I think that goes a long way because it's like, they're not implementing or drinking the Kool-Aid or doing everything that we need to do. And then they're the sour grapes or the sour apples to all the other employees. And I don't know why at the time I wasn't recognizing it, but it took her to, I always joke, she came in and shook us up and turned us upside down. And so it was
totally true though.
Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely had people that have joined our team for a short amount of time. And, we kind of got the feeling that,
we knew
they're not going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And, they found their way off of the team.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, like our retreat really helps us bond. And I think it does do that filtering thing on its own a little bit. Because, since we do this lip sync battle, they do have to get together with their teams and like practice. And I mean, it's very competitive. Like there's costumes, there's props, there are props. It is very intense. And it's like the greatest night of the year to me. But there's practices leading up to that. And there's like the development of the teamwork, that it requires to pull it off. And then the fact that like everybody is cheering and just dying for one another as they're performing, like there's just a lot of bonding that happens there. And so I highly recommend do something cheesy and ridiculous and you'll have a great time.
That sounds, I don't know, with maybe a couple cocktails and I would be able to.
It's not sober.
I need to preface this. We are not sober during this
good.
Of the retreat.
I don't know if I could do it sober. So anyway, so we kind of touched on it, but how do you feel the culture, like for employee retention? Like what does that have to do? Like having a good culture, bad culture, I
mean, I feel like if you have a good company culture, your employees want to stay and they want to help you grow. They want to grow. They want to lead other people and like the next generation of jubilettes. Mm-hmm. I think it's like, again, it's key.
Well, and I also think culture trickles down. So whoever's the top of a business, like whatever you're putting out is what everybody else is picking up. And so, I mean, there's been plenty of times where I've been in a bad mood and Megan's like, Ashley, you need to check yourself. Like take a minute, go outside, breathe, and then come back. And we have the mutual respect for one another that we can do that for each other. And I think our team does too. But if she were to allow me to have like a negative attitude, then the whole team's going to have a negative attitude. And I think that that's true in like in a bigger way too. If you're constantly like putting out negativity or pushing people beyond their limits and expecting a lot and not giving a lot in return, why is anybody going to give a lot to you if you're not giving a lot to them? So I think it trickles down from the top. And when you do have a ton of turnover, I think that that's usually a sign that like maybe your leadership style needs some adjustment. And maybe you could do with some leadership coaching and
lip sync battles.
Or just some alcohol.
Alcohol shots.
Yeah. Whatever.
When he said drink the Kool-Aid, I was like, what's our YJ Kool-Aid? Is it Fireball?
Fireball. 100%.
Oh.
Not by my choice.
I'm going to say that stuff's pretty potent. I used to do an event for an elementary school, and the kindergarten parents all got really drunk off a fireball and started a fight with everyone. So ever since then, I've always equated fireball with a fight. So I don't know.
Kindergarten parents fighting. That's amazing.
Oh, and the best part is that the principal brought all the parents that did that. They were all in her office on Monday morning, all talking to her about the situation. I was like, I was so impressed with that, because I was like, she could have, like, I'm like, what are you going to do? She goes, I'm calling all these. They're all coming to my office on Monday morning. We're going to talk.
Yep.
I'm like, yep. And they were never bad after that ever again. So you never know. So, all right. So what are some small steps that someone can take in their business today to improve their team culture? What do you think? Some easy little nuggets that we could just implement?
Easy nuggets.
I think one of the easiest things is to have a conversation with your team, either individually or as a group, depending on the dynamics within the group. And just say, like, what do you love about working here? And what do you think is a challenge, and what could change, and would you like to see your role and this company in the next 5 years?
And it can be done like super easily, anonymously, excuse me. Because obviously some people are too intimidated to share how they actually feel. Some leaders, unfortunately, can't take feedback very well face to face. So even just like sending out a survey monkey where you don't know who's saying what, or whatever that looks like, to get the ball rolling takes, 10 minutes. Not even?
Yeah.
5?
Yeah. I think feedback, again, like if you're a leader, you have to figure out how to take feedback.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise you'll never grow. Like, sorry, none of us are geniuses and are doing everything right. Like, we're all learning, we're all growing, and we're all figuring out how to be the best at what we do. And that's going to constantly evolve, because the world is constantly evolving.
Yeah, and it can't be like feedback with an excuse, like, because it's you get feedback. Well, it's because of it's like, okay, let me think about how we can make a change. Even like with an event, I'm like, we're only as good as our last event, and like we have a wedding going on today as we're recording this, and if that wedding goes horribly tonight, then we're a horrible company, and it's like, and when something goes wrong, I'm always like, all right, it went wrong. How do we fix it to where it never happens again? Because that's the biggest thing, because I don't want to make the same mistake over and over and over again, because you're just beaten, whatever, use any analogy, and it's just not good. It's bad all around. So
I also think it's really easy to forget to celebrate the wins. And I think that adds a lot to company culture. If you're constantly just pushing, going, and never stopping to celebrate how far you've come and what you've accomplished, even if it's not what you set out to accomplish for the year, you've still accomplished a lot. And I think it's important to celebrate the wins and make sure that you are giving people like the appropriate, what's the word I'm looking for? Recognition. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's probably really good feedback, because that's something that I think we always focus on the negative and not the positive. And that's for sure. I think we really got to really focus on the positive. So
yeah. I mean, our company, and our company motto is life should be celebrated. And I think we even struggle.
I was about to say, we even struggle with it. Like, we have to remind ourselves, like, yeah, X, Y, and Z happened, but look at all the good that's happening.
Yeah. No. We got to look that way. So, and if Ashley and I know each other through the WIPA world, and I used to go to I can't tell you how many board retreats I've ever done, but the best one I've ever attended was the one that Ashley planned. So I'm sure
it's the googly eye one.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just know about it because there was a bunch of googly eyes at our office. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah. It was Alice in Wonderland, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I made flowers into the singing flowers.
Yeah, it was literally, I was like, it was the best one I ever, and it was like, it was amazing. So anyway, you did a great job, like, in rallying them and bringing them all together. So I can only imagine what your ones are for work. So
thank you. I will say I thrive in a retreat atmosphere. So
yeah, I could tell. I could tell. Anyway, all right. So anything you want to leave us when it comes to, building a community-driven team? Anything that we haven't touched on?
Yes. One thing that I will say, we've talked about feedback a lot, but I think that positive feedback goes such a long way. So one of the things that we, of course, within our team, we love to give positive feedback. At our retreats, we also do something called love notes, where we make everybody a bag, and throughout the weekend, people can put love notes in everybody's bag.
Oh, that's cute.
About things that they love about them or ways that they've helped them throughout the year or whatever. But we also do this for the creatives and the vendors that we work with. So if, for example, last year, a venue team was absolutely phenomenal for me the whole season. Like I had multiple weddings with them and they just went above and beyond. And so I went to the venue coordinator. I asked for names of every single person on their catering team. And we went and got $10 Starbucks gift cards for 40 people.
Wow.
And then wrote them each personal notes and gave it to the venue coordinator to give out to them. And the venue coordinator was like blown away because she's like, no one has ever taken the time to actually thank the team that supports the wedding. And so now that's something that like we're always looking for is like, how can we make sure that everyone on a wedding day feels appreciated, even if it's not in that moment, in that wedding day, like know that their work doesn't go unnoticed. We do the same thing during COVID. We did love notes. We would just every week we were taking 5 people and sending out notes to just say like, hey, we're thinking about you. We know this is a hard time, but we're going to come back. And, you know, if there's anything that we can do to support you in the meantime, let us know. So I think just like letting people know that you care about them more than just the business that they're bringing you is important in building community.
Yeah. Being a selfless leader, a kind leader goes a long way. It's not all about you.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably won't succeed.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing too that you guys recognized everyone on the team, because I think a lot of people focus on the salesperson or the person that, you know, is going to get them the business and then ignore everyone else. But it's, you know, I have some amazing relationships with the setup folks and, you know, like they're asking me about my kids or, you know, just, you know, I actually have a relationship with people. And I think that goes a long way. So
absolutely. And I mean, when I say everyone, like dishwashers, setup team, the catering staff, the chefs in the kitchen, like we wanted everyone so that we could make sure that everybody knew that like we saw them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it goes a long way because I've worked a wedding to where I distinctly remember the photographer bagging on the venue, and then as soon as the venue coordinator walked in the door, it was like she was kissing that venue coordinator's you know what, and then I finally looked at her at dinner and I'm like, why are you kissing her ass if you don't even want to work here? You know, like you hate this place so much. She goes, well, they just have a lot of business here, and I'm like, well, maybe this venue is not for you. You know, it was just a very weird thing that I was like, you know, be real.
Authenticity is important, I think, as well when it comes to like leading and also creating community. If you're not authentic in all moments, then you're not very trustworthy. And people can feel that.
I agree. 100%. Well, and you know from our industry, just working in you could tell the fake people right away from the people that are there, that are genuine and really there. So I don't know. You could tell, I call them the Tasmanian devils, the folks that come into like one of our associations, like WIPA or whatever, and just try to get as much business as they can, and then they work their way out.
So true. Good analogy.
Yeah. So, all right. So I got a couple wrap up questions, but before we do, tell me about Paris in 2024. Why are we going to Paris in 2024? What's happening?
Yeah, well, like I said, I live my best life at retreats.
So why not take it to Paris?
So it came up for a couple of reasons. I don't know. Yeah.
So my husband's a Paralympian, and cross all fingers and everything that he will be making the Paralympic team in 2024, which will be in Paris.
Okay.
And so as a family, we decided we wanted to be there for a few months beforehand. He's a cyclist, so all of his races are overseas anyway in like Europe area. And so it's just easier to be located already over there in Europe. Ashley's obsessed with Paris. And so I told her my plan, and she's like, okay, cool. YJ's coming. I'm coming. Let's do this.
Yeah. Like, I hope you weren't wanting to like be there alone. So yeah. And then we just figured, okay, if we're going to be in France and, you know, we have Europe pretty close flights away, like let's take some weddings there. We're going to be doing elopements and proposals, but then we're also going to be hosting a couple of workshops for creatives.
Okay, cool. That's amazing.
So yeah, Follow along to Your Jubilee on Instagram.
Yeah.
And we're posting a lot of fun things about it.
Yeah. Everything's in the works, but it's all going to be coming out very soon.
Yeah.
All right. So now, did we watch Emily in Paris?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, well, yeah.
Okay. I figured that was a stupid question, but
I think I've
asked.
watched the series from start to finish like 3 times now.
I've
Really,
seen it
I
once,
love. You've only. I love it. It's,
Now we're just slowly shopping and building our Paris wardrobe.
Yeah. I dress completely different when I'm in France. I'm like the best version of myself.
Good for you. I could not do that. She wears some pretty crazy outfits.
I mean,
that girl.
yeah, but it goes because it's in Paris. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm all about that life.
All right. So, what is your absolute favorite part of a wedding? Each of you.
I think we kind of both.
I think we're the same. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. I mean, the design element of a wedding day is the most fun.
Okay.
And it's the most fun to collaborate with your clients on it, get to know them and what they want, and get to know their love story and to bring that to life on their wedding day. So to see it all finally come to place, especially, of course, the bigger budget weddings, and seeing just all the details, small to big. Like, I've never cried on a wedding day because of the details, but definitely after the fact I have. And I actually had an intern ask me after one of my biggest ones, like, have you cried yet? Can you believe this happened? And I'm like, no, because I'm still go, go, go mode. But seeing everything come together and then having the client see it all come together and like just their genuine like love for the space and shock and awe is like such a beautiful moment. And it just like, it helps like light a fire within me again of like why we do this and why I love doing what we do.
Yeah. I think that's 100% true. Like, I notoriously, for probably the first like 5 or 6 years of our business, cried at every single wedding.
Yeah.
Because I do think love stories are beautiful, and I love that we get to share and be there for this incredible moment in people's lives. But I think now that we're almost 10 years in, what I really love is seeing how months of decisions have come together and created this beautiful space where all of these people that love this couple are getting to celebrate them. And I think there's just something really incredible about that moment. So like, I love seeing the couple walk into the space and see it for the first time. I love hearing the reactions from their guests. And I love just seeing the party that takes place and all of the love that's being shared within the spaces.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good thing because, you know, and that's the one part everyone has mentioned something different. You guys are the first to talk about design, and that's the part I like because that's what I do.
Yeah.
You know, well, yeah. And I just recently, like, for me, like you said, it re-energizes you. Is I was end of the night knocking a wedding down. I was working because, you know, we're still trying to build up our staff up on a scissor lift. And the bride's like, Kevin, come down here. And I'm like, coming down. She goes, I have to give you a hug. This was the best. Everything you listened to, you know, in this, you knocked it. And it was just, and I was like, okay, after a really shitty weekend, that was like the motivation I needed to continue. You know, I'm like, I'm good at what I do, and this is why I do it. And
Totally.
you know, I sometimes we need that little pat on the back. So
yeah, at the end of the night when the couple is, you know, exhausted and drunk and about to leave with their friends and family, like when they find us and give us a hug and thank us, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you loved it. You know, like definitely like gives you all the warm fuzzies.
I love when they are like drunk crying.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and telling me like
that is
how
pretty good.
They are. That just makes me happy.
Yeah.
As long as you're not having to hold the hair while they
Exactly.
We draw a line.
All right. So, and then I'm a big techie and I love apps. So is there, what kind of app that you're using right now in your now that you guys are, you know, can't live without? And I see Ashley looking at her phone right now.
I mean, I don't know if it's an app, but I feel like Timeline Genius, we can't live without. It's like an app. I never use it on my phone, but like that is like our timeline generator. Like that's one thing I definitely can't live without.
We could never go back.
Yeah. I don't know how planners don't use Timeline Genius, honestly.
Agreed.
I don't either, because I like how you can give, you know, the rental company a certain time. And
you don't need the 20-page document. You need maybe the 10 and the 20. I can give you both, but like, you know, again, people don't read. So the less.
Well, no, and that's the thing. I have a wedding planner I work with that his timelines are generally anywhere from 45 to 65 pages long. Wow. And it's like, I don't need all that stuff. And that's and that's what I do like that feature.
Give people all the information, but also a digestible version.
Yeah. Tell me what I need to know and where I need to be, and
Totally.
I don't need to know the makeup and hair schedule because it
Exactly.
has
That's wild.
nothing to do with my team setting up lighting. So
Yeah.
all right.
What are you? Any apps or Timeline Genius?
So I've been using Chat GPT a lot.
Oh, well, yeah.
So what's that?
Well, it's AI. It's creepy and weird, and
I
it
like creepy and
actually
weird.
saves a lot of time.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I've been using it a lot for like generating captions for Instagram.
Okay.
Even if it's not writing the whole thing for me, it gives me a good starting point. So when I'm really like just stumped about like what I want to post and what we're doing, I'll just ask Chat GPT like, hey, give me 10 Instagram
Very
captions
creepy, but it's cool.
for wedding tips, and that'll at least get my juices flowing. It also can write great blog posts.
Yeah. My husband just used it. Team USA needed an updated bio, and he put it in a Chat GPT, and it was honestly only a couple edits. It was wild.
That is amazing. It is. Well, I use an app called Grammarly a lot to fix my and so but this is Grammarly on steroids because Grammarly fixes what I do, but not doesn't create. And I like the fact that it creates. That's amazing. Yeah. That's a growth. Oh, well, I thank you. So I thank you both for being here. I hopefully will see you. I would love to come out and visit you guys. And I miss my time in Scottsdale. I used to go there a lot for my Whip a World, and I haven't. I literally, it's funny. It came up. It's been a year almost. Like a few days ago was the last time I was there. It popped up on my. It was that pool party that we did. That was a lot. That was the last time I've been to Scottsdale, and I feel like I used to go there like at least once or twice. A month there for a while. So anyway. Yeah,
well, I can tell you there's some fun WIPA events coming up. So
well, I might just have to come. So you guys are we're in the same time zone now, and it's easy.
Totally.
Flights are easy.
So nice.
I'll have to come visit you guys. So anyway, well, I can't thank you enough for all your wonderful wisdom that you've given all of us here today. What's the best way to connect with the two of you?
Definitely our Instagram, Your Jubilee Weddings. We are very, very active on Instagram. It takes over my life.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best way. Also our website, yourjubilee.com. And that's
pretty much it.
And our personal Instagrams are always tagged on our business. So if you want to talk to one of us specifically
about the other, so we can
about the other person. Yeah, I'll talk shit on Megan all the time.
And then screenshot it to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then one more thing, you mentioned happy hour. What's our happy hour drink that we're drinking right now?
Oh, I love that. That's such a good. Okay, so I'm known to like always take fireball shots like in a group setting, and like we're having fun. We start the night off with fireball shots.
So gross.
It's gross, but like it gets the job done, right? But now as I'm getting older, I'll still do the fireball shots.
She's maturing.
I feel like this is so boring, but I'm just a red wine gal. Like I love a good cab, and I'm just happy with wine right now. But I'm not a big fancy like mixed drinker. I feel like you.
Yeah, I love a mixed cocktail, but right now I'm on a grapefruit train, so I really like Greyhounds.
Oh, okay.
And then I also really love wine, but I'm not just strictly red wine. I'm an equal opportunity wine drinker. So anything is great for me. But we went to Paso Robles last year, and I have become obsessed with Paso Robles wines.
Oh, they're a good little wine region. And I'll be honest with you, I live in Livermore, and we have 60 something wineries now in my little town. And which we were before Prohibition, we were Napa. Everything was happening in Livermore, and then Prohibition hit, and we never recovered. There's still 2 wineries left that were around pre-Prohibition, but the rest of them never made it. So we're slowly coming back to where we were, 140 years ago or whatever. I mean, that was a long time ago. So anyway, it's amazing.
We'll have to plan our next girls trip there.
Oh yeah,
we have. It's fun. We're really close to the city, so you still have all the city stuff. I hate the city. As someone that lives here, I don't want to go there. But anyway, we're an hour and 15 minutes like south of Napa. We're close to like Monterey. We're not far from Paso Robles is probably about a 2.5-3 hour car ride from here. So You can hit all the wineries and have a good time. But Paso Robles does have some really good wine down there.
Yeah,
So they're doing a really good job. So
Yeah.
can't go wrong with any California wine. So
Yeah. As long as it's red, I'm happy.
that's right. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for being here. All right.
Yeah. Thanks
Have a
for
good
having
day.
us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mind Your Wedding Business podcast, brought to you by Wedding IQ. I hope you've enjoyed listening to this episode. Please get in touch with me if you have a topic you would like for me to cover, or if you are in the area of your business you're struggling with, let us know. We'll be happy to help. I encourage you to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're a fan, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. It helps others find our podcast so they can learn from our guests too. Thanks again for listening.